And in Port Orchard, an arsonist was caught in the act using a torch to set a home on fire. Video here of the man pulling up in a golf cart on Tuesday with a dog in the passenger seat. He appears to use a propane torch to set the garage on fire, then back up and drive away. But the homeowner was inside when this happened. A neighbor who witnessed the fire flagged down a state trooper who then located the 47-year-old suspect. The homeowner told investigators they don't know the suspect and don't know why he did this.
Some residents here in Spokane are waking up wondering when they can go home or if they even have a home to return to. We're in the northwest portion where many homes look like this. You might have seen these visuals and photos of houses completely destroyed. But then take a look a couple of feet away. This house is totally fine. These homes too in this cul-de-sac on this one side here, all untouched by the fires, whereas this side has all been leveled. So a lot of people are wondering why one street might be able to go home while another might still be under level 3 evacuations. Well, that comes down to several things that wildfire crews are looking at here. You have the fire path and behavior. You also have the terrain here. Spokane is very hilly. You could even see that here. This house was on a hillside, and all of these homes down here also all leveled from the fires. These rolling hills can help push a fire uphill, and winds can carry embers way ahead of the main fire. Also, heat from the fire dries out vegetation ahead of the flames, and that makes it easier for the fire to spread. That's why one area can see homes destroyed while another nearby is still standing. It's also why evacuation levels can look very different a few blocks apart. And even after a fire rolls through a neighborhood, this is all still fuel for fires. This can still spark a fire, cause new embers to ignite. And here in Spokane, we're entering another period of critical fire weather today through the weekend, with higher temperatures back in the 90s, low relative humidity, and then gusty winds as well that are expected to increase as we head into Friday and Saturday.
Washington State Auditor Pat McCarthy is calling the conduct of former commissioners at a Mason County fire district disgraceful. In a new fraud report, her auditors found long-term mismanagement and misappropriation by staff and commissioners of Fire District 12 in Mason County. Those commissioners were replaced in 2024, but not before they stole nearly $150,000 taxpayer dollars, according to this new audit. It says that some commissioners bought all-terrain vehicles, a boat and trailer, and dog kennels. In addition, the commission sold 7 vehicles valued at $20,000 to employees and volunteers and friends for $800. There was also missing equipment like generators, computers, and hand tools that could not be accounted for. A previous audit in 2022 also identified fraud, so this has been a long-term problem in Mason County Fire District 12. The state auditor says she's hopeful that with a new slate of commissioners and staff, the taxpayers of Fire District 12 will be better served.
A late-night search on the Green River ended with the best possible outcome. I'm Bethany on the King News Desk, and a man reported missing while floating the Green River was found safe early Thursday after an hours-long multi-agency search near the Whitney Bridge Park. Rescue kayaks searched upstream and downstream while the King County Sheriff's Office used a drone with thermal imaging to help direct crews on the water. The man was found, brought safely to Whitney Bridge boat launch, evaluated by medics, and released. South King County says the rescue is a testament to the regional teamwork and coordination that brought the search to a successful ending.
The University of Washington Center for Human Rights confirms that in the past year, there have been at least 90 immigration-related arrests that resulted from federal agents searching data from the Washington Department of Licensing. You guys already know from the Keep Washington Working Act that this is against state law, that state agencies cannot assist federal agents when it comes to immigration enforcement, yet this continues happening. The governor's office says it blocked ICE from accessing DOL data, but it still hasn't blocked all of CBP's codes, and CBP, as you know, continues to make these arrests as well. This is video of an arrest that happened around noon yesterday in the Pinehurst neighborhood. You can see that agents are handcuffing this gentleman behind his back as they are arresting him. And while we don't know for a fact that that exact arrest stemmed from CBP searching up license plate information, the UW researchers say anytime a vehicle or traffic stop is involved, that is the most likely scenario.
One of my faves, Amy, is here from the Infatuation. Spots of the summer. We're talking about it. Where do I go?
Okay, so first off, De Laurenti, great spot at Pike Place. They have a spritz bar in their wine department. So you can hop on over and grab a spritz and some potato chips topped with Serrano ham. That's my favorite.
Aperol Spritz, here I come. What's
yes.
next?
There's also Nisibon at Seward Park. Well, it's not at Seward Park. It's a close drive from Seward Park, but perfect for a picnic. Their banh mi are excellent. Get the Nisi special.
Okay. Louis Deli, should we talk about it?
Yes, we
Pioneer
have
Square?
to talk about Louis. It's the hottest deli for a reason. The hype is so real. I'm obsessed with their turkey sandwich.
I'm obsessed with their Italian sandwich and also their bacon, egg, and cheese. It's exactly what it sounds like.
It's a must.
There's another restaurant that's inside a brewery that's all over social media. Tell me more.
That's right. La Maria is a Mexican seafood operation that happens at Fair Isle Brewing in Ballard, and their tostadas are excellent. You got to get the ahi tuna topped with salsa matcha. Very spicy, but very good.
Very spicy. We're spicy. Where can everyone find this incredible list?
You can find our guide at theinfatuation.com/Seattle or follow us on social media here at infatuation_Seattle.
I believe everything that you say. So thank you, Amy, for being here.
It's my pleasure. Happy summer.
Bye.
The first day of practice is a lot like the first day of school. Some jitters, some unfamiliarity, but Jed Fish is leaning into that. He's giving his guys some grace to learn the system.
Yeah, I don't evaluate them at all in these two practices. These two practices are to prepare themselves to get evaluated. So I look at this as truly like study hall. It's getting confidence. Especially young kids, first day of training camp practice and you're a freshman, anxiety and nerves and you're like, oh, what is it going to look like? It's a lot easier to kind of work your way into it. So by the time you're actually hitting somebody, you've gone through this enough times that you feel confident.
That's good.
The Huskies will be without their two biggest offensive playmakers from last year, Denzel Boston and Jonah Coleman, both going to the NFL. But Damon Williams is confident in the playmakers he has.
I talk about it all the time, how quarterback friendly they are and how, like for me, it's super easy to get them the ball because they understand what I'm looking at as a quarterback and try to see it from a quarterback lens as well and understand what I'm trying to go through, my progression, things like that.
They had a really good second half of the summer for sure, which was the coolest part of how they've embraced getting better and how they embrace the opportunity to just show that they could be an elite group. We're not there yet, but we'll see.
You got the running backs out there putting in work out the backfield, and that's super important for our offense. Obviously, losing Jonah, who is a really good receiving back, being able to replace him with somebody that can catch the ball as well, and they all understand that. I've been working really hard to get there.
The newcomers will have to understand the learning curve pretty quickly as the pads come on and the hitting starts on Sunday. From Husky Stadium, Ariel Orsuto, King 5 Sports.
On 8th Avenue Northeast, Seattle police move in. This week, officers report that they found more than just trespassers. Inside, investigators say they uncovered 4 rifles, several magazines, ammunition, drugs, and cash. Someone had allegedly rewired power to the building and installed surveillance cameras at the vacant property. Police cleared 14 people and 5 didn't walk away free. Each carried outstanding warrants. Officers hauled 4 of them off to the King County Jail for investigation of trespassing and warrants, while a 5th landed in Snohomish County Jail. And Seattle Animal Control was called in too to rescue 8 animals, 4 dogs and 4 puppies.
As bad as the wildfire smoke has been over here in western Washington, it is nothing compared to some of the areas in eastern Washington which have just been submerged in wildfire smoke, dangerously so as a matter of fact. If we take a look at Antioch, which is not far from that little giant fire, you can see that air quality index this morning way up there in the very unhealthy range at 251. That is the advice for that for everyone is for everyone to limit or avoid outdoor activity. Just really, really bad air quality there. But we take a look at the air quality listings. You see it is one of the worst, but there's actually one that's even worse, and they made it yesterday afternoon. About 4 or 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I pulled this from the air quality website. Look at that. 1,536. I didn't know it could go that high. Just amazing. I talked to a friend who lives over there and yesterday afternoon, and she said between the heat and the thickness of that smoke, they were definitely staying inside. But she said it felt at times like the air itself was on fire. It was so bad. And if we take a look at this shot from a WashDOT camera near Antioch this morning when it's just very unhealthy, you can see how smoky that actually looks and how tough that would be to be stuck over in that. The good news is we'll get some wind, which will help move that away. The bad news is that is going to be fanning the flames of the fires that are already burning and possibly give parts of eastern Washington critical fire danger as we head into Saturday. And of course, we'll keep very close track of that as we move into the weekend.
Bus drivers across Snohomish County say community transit is putting both them and passengers at risk because the union says that the company is being slow on implementing safety protocols that bus drivers have been asking for since the days of COVID, specifically barriers in between unruly passengers and drivers. There have been shootings both on board community transit buses and at bus stops just over the past year. There have also been attacks on passengers. The company says that they are in the midst of adding additional security patrols to those bus routes, and they will have a prototype of that barricade system online in the next few days for bus drivers to check out.
You and I both love great inspirational coaches, and Coach McDonald to me came out in episode 1 and just really showed off why this team is bought into him, why he's a great leader. There were so many great scenes in my mind that showed why he is such a great coach.
The scene with Brady Russell on the field and reacting to what Russell took exception to Derek Hall, and the one Rubicon you don't cross is talking about a player's contract on the field. And the fact, there was a couple things there. One, Adam Dirty, the defensive coordinator, was a very good lieutenant there to his head coach, walking up to him and said, here's why Hall went crazy. Because they were talking about his contract on the field. And that's why McDonald reacted the way he did. That was a very Mike McDonald moment in leadership. Look, I'm a West Point graduate. His dad was a West Point graduate, 1971, Hugh McDonald. Every day I see things that are straight out of the Army leadership manual that Mike McDonald does. It's fascinating for me because I didn't think a military approach would work in the NFL. He's made it work. And it was those moments with Brady Russell where he says, that was a chotch thing. That's one of McDonald's words, chotch, which I never heard of until he explained it to me what it was. But that was an uncool thing to do. But he did it in a way, it was immediate, it was effective, and then it ended with, we cool, we cool. It wasn't one-way conversation. It wasn't dictatorial. That's Mike McDonald. You know, guys, looking back, the 10-7 season of 2024 was so pivotal for him and his program. If they went 7-10 or 5-11, it would not have had the effect of a carryover of this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
They brought in Ernest Jones. We all know they got rid of 2 inside starting middle linebackers mid-season because McDonald didn't like how Dodson and Baker were stopping the run. They promoted Tyree Snyder, rookie, to start. They traded for Ernest Jones, and the defense has taken off. They've been a #1 defense in the league since that point. And it was after that 10-7 season of 2024 that people started saying, this 37-year-old rookie coach knows what he's doing. And that's when he got the buy-in for the players. I know the Seahawks didn't make the playoffs that year, but the buy-in they had from that 10-7 season spurred what happened last year, not to mention, of course, the culture and what they ultimately think is the reason they won the Super Bowl, how together they are.
All right, 12s, here's your chance to relive the Seahawks championship season on the big screen. Next Friday, August 14th, a documentary is coming to select Regal cinemas, and it features immersive sound, exclusive behind-the-scenes video, and extended game highlights from the game against the Patriots. It's described as the largest compilation of player and coach-wired audio ever assembled for an NFL Films championship documentary, and it's only playing for one day only. The film will be shown at 10 theaters across the state, and you can get tickets right now.
Pause real quick and take a look at this video on your screen right now. This is from Eastern Oregon at the Coleman Creek fire. Many are calling it a fire-nado, but fire meteorologists actually say it is a fire whirl. A fire whirl forms when intense heat from the fire itself creates an area of rising air. And that superheated air pushes upward, creates a rotation, and pulls flames, smoke, and debris up into the column with it. While they look similar, a fire whirl is very different from the much rarer and more powerful fire tornado.
Fire tornado effectively is formed when this rotating vortex, or the fire whirl, extends down from a cloud and reaches the ground.
Fire whirls are smaller, shorter-lived, and can develop directly from the intense heat of the fire itself.
Seattle firefighters made a gruesome discovery Wednesday night here on the Mountains of Sound Greenway Trail just east of the Holgate Bridge in the Sodo neighborhood. When putting out a brush fire, they found a dead body half burned. And get this, investigators say that they do not believe that the fire was the cause of death. They're calling it suspicious and are looking into it as a homicide investigation. There's still a whole lot that we do not know about this. For example, a spokesperson with the department says that they believe that the victim was an adult, but cannot say if the person was male or female. We also do not know how long the body was here at the scene, and we also do not know if the person who set the fire is the same person who killed the victim. You're urged to contact the Seattle Police Department with any information.
There is significant breaking news right now that could fundamentally change the way you consume TV news as we know it. The FCC, under the guidance of the Trump administration, just lifted the cap on the number of TV stations that a single company can own when it comes to share of U.S. households. This is a move that many fear could lead to more media consolidation. Before today, there was a long-standing rule that no single company could own more than 39% of all U.S. household audience. Instead, Federal Communications Commission Chair Brendan Carr says the agency will now move to a, quote, case-by-case basis. This is a huge win for companies like Nexstar. Nexstar is trying to buy my company, Tegna, for $6.2 billion and gobble up all 64 of its TV stations across the country. If approved, Nexstar would have 60% of all U.S. household audience. Now, a judge put this acquisition on hold as it all plays out in court, but you can see why many are opposed to this idea. Say, for example, Nexstar had one message, whatever that might be. If they put it across all of their TV stations in the country, 60% of Americans will see that single message. Some say that that's just too much influence. The new FCC rule change streamlines the Nexstar Tegna buyout. Opponents worry that the buyout would only accelerate media consolidation, trigger more layoffs, and really reduce the number of independent journalists in America. So this is obviously huge news for American media, something we've been following, as you can imagine, very, very closely here at Tegna. I'll stay on it. I'll keep you posted. What do you think?
Restaurants are making some changes to ingredients over two separate outbreaks involving produce. Chipotle and Qdoba are now removing jalapenos from their menu as more people get sick from a salmonella outbreak across the country. 27 states, including Washington, have now reported cases of salmonella related to the peppers. More than 300 people have gotten sick and 36 were hospitalized across the nation. Federal health officials are now investigating, but in the meantime, Chipotle says they are now using jalapenos from different growers. Meanwhile, a massive cyclosporiasis outbreak linked to shredded iceberg lettuce has expanded to an additional 6 states. All new states identified are in the Midwest and on the East Coast. The outbreak has been linked to lettuce sold at restaurants such as Taco Bell and some grocery stores. The CDC says more than 6,000 cases have been identified. Nearly 300 of those cases resulted in hospitalization. 2 people have died died. All of the currently known cases in Washington state from this year are from those traveling internationally or to the eastern U.S.
It's been an ugly, season in terms of what we expected or what we wanted, but we still can do what we want to do in terms of where the American League looks like and what the West looks like. It's a weird thing about baseball, but just continuing to show up every day and stick together, I think, is the biggest thing. If we show up every day and enjoy coming to work every day and the people that we're working with, and we're giving it every have every night, then I'm very, very confident in this group and what we can do.
What if the World Cup celebration could last forever? Thanks to Seattle-Tacoma International Airport and some talented local artists, it can. Among the many pieces of artwork installed at the airport earlier this summer in celebration of Seattle's World Cup matches is Rachel Comer's two-tiered bronze cake at door 29. Beside the cake, a pair of bronze hands hold out a party plate, waiting for a slice. The cake inspires travelers to enjoy a moment of curiosity, humor, and connection among the hustle and bustle of the airport. The hands are cast from the artist's own, using a traditional lost wax bronze casting process, creating a personal touch on this whimsical piece. Is it a welcome, a farewell, or just a sweet piece of art? For travelers passing through the airport, it's a reminder that celebrations may end, but the memories and the art they inspire remain long after the crowds are gone. Experience Rachel Comer's artwork at door 29 in departures and discover your own interpretation.
Congressman Adam Smith clears the first hurdle toward a new term. The longtime incumbent tops the primary field for Washington's 9th district, pulling in about half the vote. Now, under Washington's top two system, the highest vote getters advance to November, no matter what their party is. That second spot, King 5 now projects, goes to Republican Doug Basler, setting up a sixth face-off between the two. But perhaps the bigger story is who doesn't make the cut. Shama Sawant, the former Seattle City Council member known for her fiery socialist politics, falls short.
We owe it to the material realities of a fight against capitalism to not leave tonight demoralized. Guess what? Yes, there will be setbacks.
Sawant spent a decade as a polarizing figure in Seattle politics. Now her bid for Congress comes up short, with Democrat Melissa Chowdhury right behind her. Smith and Basler meet again in November.